Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the September 12th, 2003 Riverhead Board of Education meeting. I'd just like to take a roll call before we begin. Go in opposite order. Ms. Redmond is here. Ms. Murphy. Present. Mr. Scudder. Ms. Healy. Present. Mr. Wallace, unfortunately, is ill, and Mr. Connolly has work obligations. Now, can I just have a motion to go into executive session to discuss the employment history of a particular person or corporation with matters leading to the discipline of a particular person or corporation?
Motion.
Motion. Thank you, Ms. Redmond. Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Murphy. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, all in favor? And motion passes. We'll be back out at about 7 o'clock. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to the public portion of our Tuesday, September 12th meeting and public hearing. Can I have a motion to come out of executive session?
Motion.
Thank you. Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, all in favor? And motion passes. Will you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We're going to begin this evening with a public hearing on the proposed changes to the district-wide safety plan. Under the relevant law, a public hearing is required. I therefore declare this hearing open at 7:50. If there are no objections from my fellow board members, I'd like to offer the floor to Rodney Assay, Assistant Superintendent for Business, who will deliver a brief presentation on the proposed changes.
All right, it's working. Good evening, everyone. Tonight, as required by the Board of by Commissioner of Education, that the Board of Education hold a public hearing in regarding to its district safety plan. Every BOCES and school districts in New York State are required to create and prepare a district-wide safety plan and building safety plans. You will not see any building safety plan is because we are required to keep those plans confidential. They are submitted to Department of Education and also law enforcement and the Health and Safety Committee and the buildings review these plans. Director of Security, District Administration, Health and Safety Committee, the Policy Committee generally review different components of the policies and plans that the district is required to adopt every year and review and update every year. Tomorrow, the Health and Safety Committee will be meeting to review the district-wide safety plan for legal updates and any other revision that is required by law and the Board of Education. The safety plan is required to have several components. The legal components is a portion where it provide guidance to the Board of Education and also the Commissioner of Education to create and adopt the safety plans. The policy and also different committees that we have in place, mostly Health and Safety Committee, adopted plan as required by the Board of Education under the leadership of the Superintendent of Schools. District safety plans and procedures have several components we're going to talk a little bit more about in a minute. Also, the safety plans required to have key board members, including board members and law enforcement and school administrators. The district is required to have several drills. Most of the drills are done in the fall and also in the spring as required. Obviously, as weather permit, we try to have all these drills done as required by December 31st each school year. We're also required to have emergency drills for exiting the buses. And we usually have these drills usually in the fall, November, and also in March. Now, the Board of Education is required to have the district-wide safety plan on the district website for at least 30 days. So by October 13th, if you have any comments or necessary changes that needs to be made, the recommendation from the Health and Safety Committee, those plans must be considered, and comments and everything else to update the safety plan. Then, once the safety plan is adopted next month, we have to submit the district-wide safety plan and the building safety plan to the Education Department and also our local law enforcement. If anyone have any questions or comments after this meeting, at least up to October 13th, you may send the comment to the Board of Education, District Clerk, or the Superintendent of Schools. Any questions?
Are there any questions from board members? Seeing none, thank you very much,
All right.
Dr. Asay. Now, before we conclude, are there any comments or questions from the members of the public? Are there any online questions, Lisa? All right, seeing none. So the board will accept written comments on the proposed changes for the next 30 days, at which point the public hearing will be closed. The board will consider a resolution to adopt the plan at the first meeting after the expiration of the 30 days. So thank you to everyone who's participated this evening. Seeing no additional people wishing to speak, I now therefore declare this public hearing adjourned at 7:56. We're now going to move on to our superintendent's report. Dr. George Ring.
Thank you very much, Mr. Palmer. Before we get into our presentations, there are two items that I do need to share with the public. The first is regarding transportation. We fully appreciate that many of our elementary school students and their families are frustrated with the delays being experienced with their after-school busing. We know that this has been less than a smooth start in terms of the on-time after-school drop-off record of many of our elementary buses. As we indicated prior to the start of the school year, we anticipated initial challenges with the new busing schedule based on continued student registrations and associated drop-off locations changes and additions. This and our drivers needing a few runs to become familiar with the routes and stops were going to require real-time adjusting and tweaking of dismissal and loading times of our schools, especially at Pulaski and the middle school, to ensure the buses could return on time for the elementary routes. Our transportation department director has met with the Pulaski Middle School principals, and together they have made adjustments in the dismissal and loading procedures at those schools to help rectify the busing problems. Those changes were initiated today. Mr. Moore and I did spend time between the buildings taking a look at how we can continue to improve transportation. So these, we are hoping that the tweaks that we are putting in place now, along with our drivers becoming more familiar with their routes and stops, will result in eliminating these frustrating and understandably unacceptable delays in the coming days. Also, on a positive note, our discussions with the Calverton Hills Board, along with the input provided by our Calverton Hills family, has resulted in our being able to resume busing in the Calverton Hills community as in the past. We want to thank the Calverton Hills Board for their understanding and cooperation, and our Calverton Hills families for their support as well. Additionally, we had an incident happen today at the end of the school day, which we did share with the community online, but I do want to read the statement as well. You may have heard of an off-campus incident that occurred involving 2 Riverhead High School students. As they walked back to the high school from an eatery in town, the students were followed by a silver pickup truck. The pickup truck stopped before the students reached the high school campus, and the driver asked the students for their social media profiles. The students ignored the driver and walked onto the school grounds and into the building. The students reported the incident to building administration and district security. The Riverhead Town Police were immediately notified and are currently investigating this incident. Both students are safe after this off-campus incident. We want to make sure our families are aware of the vehicle traveling in town. We also want to encourage parents and guardians to please speak with your children about the importance of always traveling in groups while walking in town or anywhere on or off campus grounds. So I did want to share that as well. Moving along to our first presentation, I would like to ask Mr. Eric Flynn from Stony Brook to come up as he has something to share and celebrate.
Dr. Torrentori, thank you for your time. Thank you to the board. Thank you, Dr. Kerner, especially for this opportunity to bring an awareness program about health professions from Stony Brook University to students at Riverhead High School. We had about 50 students, of which 7 Riverhead High School students attended online. And then there was one day early in the summer they came to Stony Brook and actually received transportation from their friends and family, or family and friends I should say, to be able to attend presentations by faculty in their labs at Stony Brook, including occupational therapy and forensics and clinical laboratory science. In so much so, these students gave up the beginning of their summer to spend 4 or 5 hours online, which seems a tall task to ask of a sophomore or a junior. So today, with great appreciation, I provide a certificate of completion for these students that were able to attend the Stony Brook University School of Health Professions Aged Care Summer Institute. As I read the students' names, if they could kindly come up and stand in front of Dr. Torrentori, I'd like to present you with your certificate of completion. And then also I have an oath, an aged care oath I'd like for students to read once they receive the certificate of completion. Maddie Sullivan, you all can clap. Would you mind standing right over there by that wire? Yeah. Thank you so much. Eric Gabrielson. Lorena Correa. Jayla Charles. And Stephanie Cardona Claros. So if it's not too much to ask, would you please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I pledge to perform the following duties with honesty and dedication. I will hold as my primary responsibility the health, safety, welfare, and dignity of all human beings. I will recognize, promote, and value diversity and justice. I will treat all people equally and equitably. I will continually assess my personal capabilities and limitations, striving to always improve myself. I will use my skills and always strive to improve my community. I will seek to mentor those who follow in my footsteps and teach them the importance of always helping others. These duties are pledged with sincerity and upon my honor. Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Flynn, for all that you do, and we greatly appreciate that and our partnership with Stony Brook. So thank you again. Okay. Our next item that we have is regarding the District Comprehensive Improvement Plan and then the Consolidated Title Grant. So I'm going to ask Dr. Galati to come up.
Thank you, Dr. Tornatori, and I appreciate the Board of Education giving us the opportunity this evening as the clicker has now fallen apart. Okay, so Eric, I'm going to count on you. Okay, so as we move to the second slide, the New York State Education Department Accountability System classifies schools into 4 categories, as you could see. Thank you. Good standing, comprehensive support and improvement, and that is CSI. We have 2 schools under that classification, Pulaski and Roanoke. Targeted support and improvement, that's our TSI designation, and we don't have any schools with that designation. Additional targeted support and improvement, ATSI, and currently our middle school has that classification. Districts. Districts are classified, according to the state, either in good standing or a targeted district. In New York State Education Department, the purpose of partnering with us, as we have ATSI and CSI schools, they provide the following. They provide needs assessment, improvement planning, school support, and required actions. The next slide, the clicker's back to working, is some basic terminology. We have SCEP, which is our School Comprehensive Education Plan. So these plans here are required for us where we're not meeting annual yearly progress. That's AYP. For 2 or more consecutive years. ATSI, Additional Targeted Support and Improvement. This is new terminology this year. A comprehensive education plan for schools with 1 or more student subgroups performing at a level 1. DSIP, DCIP, District Comprehensive Improvement Plan. So the comprehensive plan aligned with the school SEP plans are used to promote student achievement. So what is a comprehensive education plan? So the comprehensive education plan is how the school or school district will increase student learning, achievement, and performance. A comprehensive education plan is comprised of a set of goals and priorities that are acting simply as a blueprint to guide us with improvement. It's a collaborative process amongst all stakeholders. District plan is submitted to SED for approval, for guidance, and then this year, our 3 schools with their given designations, CSI, ATSI, they are approved locally, internally. The revenue funding is provided to districts to support building and district running costs, such as to support salaries. School comprehensive education plans. And so, once again, we have our 3 buildings, Pulaski, CSI, Roanoke, CSI, and Riverhead Middle School, ATSI. So, School Improvement Grant, also known as SIG. So what is the purpose? It serves the lowest achieving schools, ensures that funds are used to enable the lowest achieving schools to meet progress goals. So our district last year was awarded $525,000. This year, we have been allocated $575,000. And it's broken down as follows. District, $100,000. Riverhead Middle School, $75,000. Roanoke, $200,000. And Pulaski, $200,000. So how are they used? How are these funds used? So last year, 2022-2023 school year, $525,000 was given to us, and how we used it was based upon reading support district-wide, school-wide systems to support SEL, social-emotional learning, benefits, leadership in classrooms, parent and family engagement, after-school programs and teaching, tutoring, mathematics support district-wide, and translation services. So the next couple of slides will be by building and then followed by district, where we have to identify priorities. And you're going to see that we either have 2 or 3 priorities. So our priority number 1 for Pulaski is developing connections between attendance and school environment. So how is this done? Importance of having good attendance through educating families and the school community. Club offerings, enticing students to stay after school, get involved in activities. Culture of care, restorative practices, community circles, responsive teaching. And quarterly recognition for improvements in attendance, SEL, and academics. Priority number 2 for Pulaski, strengthening intervention and identification of academic and social emotional supports. How is this going to get done? Professional development for staff with respect to small group instruction, collaborative planning, professional learning communities. In Roanoke, Roanoke has 3 priorities. The first priority is developing relationships among students, staff, and the community. How is this going to get done? Extend opportunities for students to engage with one another. Targeted efforts to increase student participation in after-school clubs. Create and extend opportunities for student leadership. Priority number 2, children having intentional opportunities to evaluate and track their own learning. This will be done through professional development, professional learning communities, instructional rounds. Priority number 3, reducing the rates of chronic absenteeism in all subgroups. How will this get done? Creating a building level attendance committee, develop tier 1, 2, and 3 attendance strategies through our MTSS plan, and family outreach. With our middle school has 2 priorities. First priority, developing a comprehensive approach to social emotional learning programs and to our MTSS model. How will this get done? To implement school pride, recognition of student achievement, quarterly challenges, restorative circles, student leaders. Priority number 2, share expectations and language within the building to promote academic growth and achievement. This will get done through iReady assessments, articulation, and alignment meetings between grade levels. Develop and administer common rigorous quarterly assessments. Staff professional development. And finally, we see our district comprehensive plan. Our district comprehensive plan contains 3 priorities. The first priority, and it also mimics our strategic plan, there's a focus in DEI, diversity, equity, inclusivity. And this will be shepherded by our new director, Dr. Emily Sands, Director of SEL and ENL. So how we're going to plan on getting this done through continuing our community diversity and cross-cultural meetings, Long Island Consortium for Excellence and Equity, DEI support through Eastern Suffolk BOCES. Priority number 2, we have begun developing scope and sequences for our secondary courses of study. It's important that we have a focus, that we have our vertical and horizontal alignment and articulation that is taking place within and across grade levels. This will be accomplished through the leadership of our directors and our principals by establishing curriculum teams to develop a scope and sequence, develop respective scope and sequence documents for all secondary core courses of study, through alignment and articulation meetings, and these meetings have already begun last year. Publish a scope and sequence document for secondary core subject areas. Priority number 3, continuing to evaluate, build upon our MTSS model to ensure appropriate levels of support for students to achieve academically and certainly socially. This will be done through building administrators, directors with teachers reviewing tiers of intervention, providing professional development for teachers, staff, to understand the MTSS model and their expectations. Through teacher and staff reflection for upgrades and revisions. Continue our work with Dr. Campos. So we had the privilege to be introduced to Dr. Campos last year. And he came on board through SED to support our work, to meet with our designated schools, to meet with our designated leaders and our teachers multiple times throughout the year to support us. Implementation of the Butterfly Effect Project to promote overall success for our students. So, next steps. The ZISA plan was submitted to SED in July, and within a couple hours they got back to me with approval. Schools and we conduct meetings periodically throughout the year to assess our progress, to reflect upon our plans. What are our needs now leading into the following school year? Quarterly meetings are conducted with building principals and stakeholder groups to evaluate such plans, and also to reflect upon this information to build plans in the future. Questions?
Thank you very much, Dr. Galati.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Eric? So my next presentation is our Consolidated Title Grant. Okay, so this is an arduous task, to say the least. I start working on this in May. I work throughout the summer, right through August. My colleague, Dr. Assay, is critical to review FS10s for budgeting purposes. What we're looking at here is well over $1 million to support our schools, our students, our staff, and our programs. So what is this all about? So the New York State Education Department has developed this Consolidated application, and it's aligned with ESSA. So it's Every Student Succeeds Act. The application focuses on required assurances through ESSA. Federal funds through ESSA are broken into several components. There are 4 components. Provided annually through the New York State Education Department. It's based upon district percentage of economically disadvantaged population. Must be shared with interested in-district and out-of-district private schools. We are reaching out to schools locally and right into Manhattan. Roughly 20 schools we have to reach out to. And I appreciate the assistance of Ms. Rayom, assisted me with that reach out. What you could see, and we're starting the conversation, there's many pieces. There are many people that are working on this application. Must be shared with in-district, interested in-district private schools based upon entire student population from Riverhead. And that ranges within Title II and Title IV. And must be shared with interested in-district private schools based upon Riverhead student qualifications, Title III. Title I, Part A. So this is based upon school improvement programs. And what you can see there, I've tracked 3 years. And this year, out of the 3 years, we received the most in an allocation, $898,748. This is to support our academic students that are at risk, remedial reading, AIS services, salaries. Must reserve funds for parent and family engagement, translation services. Must reserve funds for homeless students, materials and supplies. Allocation to support necessary professional development, and a percentage of salary and benefits for a school counselor. Again, must be shared with in-district and out-of-district private schools who have Riverhead students that qualify based upon academic need, financial need. All Riverhead schools are Title I designated. Title I, Part D. Title I, Part D is exclusively to support our neglected and delinquent youth, Timothy Hill Children's Ranch. They get $97,384. It's all theirs. Again, it's separate from our district funds. Funds are used to carry out high-quality education programs to prepare students for high school completion, career, and technical training. Title II, Part A. So this is used to provide students with low-income families and minority students with greater access to effective educators. Well, in order to be an effective educator, you need professional development. And that's where a lot of this money goes to. This year, we're awarded to $138,892 to support that need. As you are aware, we are rolling out new programs, such as Science 21. We have the next generation learning standards across all disciplines. So support is needed to educate our teachers, to prepare our teachers as our students sit for new assessments. We support our administrators with professional development as well. Also support salary and benefits of a literacy coach at the elementary school. Curriculum writing. We had numerous teachers come on board and request curriculum writing that Dr. Kerner and I had to meet with and select, because there's a certain percentage of money coming from this that we put aside for the summer curriculum writing, which is essential to support our teachers with new programs, or maybe it's existing curriculum that needs to be revised and updated. Also to support substitute teacher costs so that teachers can attend professional development. Here too, must be shared with interested in-district private schools based upon the entire student population from Riverhead. Moving on, Title III. So Title III is to support our English language learners. Title III, Part A, we haven't received, and you'll see on one of the last slides, we haven't received it now in 2 years. Title III this year, we're receiving $306,000, over $306,000. And this is going to go towards materials and supplies, professional development, programs to support our Ls, summer support, Elevation is a new program that we're bringing in through Dr. Sands, salary and benefits for lead teachers, neighborhood aides to support our SIFE students, family engagement and support, and again, must be shared with interested in-district private schools across. Title IV, Part A. This is targeted for student academic enrichment and support. This is the lowest allocation, $62,167. At least 20% of the allocation is used to support safe and healthy students, SEL. Social worker. We're bringing in new curriculum, grade 7, generation citizenship. Why? We're beginning there to entice kids to continue with the excitement of learning history right through high school, so they can graduate with another seal. We have the seal of biliteracy. We've also brought in the seal of civic readiness. This is to prepare them. Science 21, implementation. And a portion of the allocations for activities to support effective use of technology. And again, must be shared with interested in-district private schools based upon the student population. So throughout this whole conversation, you've heard about there's some flexibility, and then in other terms, there's no flexibility, because we are told by the state what we have to do in order to acquire these funds. And there's some non-negotiables, such as with this Title IV, we are told that we have to put certain amount of money into technology, to support technology across the district. The last slide. So this is giving you a comprehensive view from the 2017-2018 school year right through the present. This year, we are roughly awarded $1.5 million. Last year, $1.3 million. So that's good. That helps a lot. The application itself, it's around 75 pages or so in length, with various narrative components that I write, and then the assistance given to me by directors. Title III, working with Dr. Sands, and working with the Timothy Hill family, Timothy Hill Children's Ranch. Here too, similar to the DSIP plan, a very collaborative process. Okay, questions?
The Title III immigrant, so why didn't we get it the last 2 years? Like, it's because you have to have a certain percentage, or so it's like a hit and miss type
And
of thing?
they don't give us an explanation.
So you apply,
There's no
and
explanation.
sometimes, yeah.
And what happens is that you go onto the state webpage, and they just list schools that are receiving this funding. No explanation is given to us.
Right. And so that must be shared with interested in-district private schools. Do we have interested in-district
Yes.
private schools? So we are
Yes.
sharing some of that?
Yes.
Okay.
And there's a whole formula that designates a certain percentage that goes to these institutions based upon the number of students that are attending these schools.
Right, and then you mentioned reaching out to 20 schools.
Yes.
So.
In
enlighten
district
me.
and out of district.
So that's
schools.
our responsibility?
So it could be St. John the Baptist, St. Anthony's, Chaminade.
So our students from
That-
Riverhead that go, so wherever they are, we have to find them? Got it.
Correct.
Okay, now I understand.
Correct. Yep. Mhm. Dr. Rosinski.
Any other comments?
Are you gonna?
Yeah, I just want to answer one of your questions. So, when the federal government decided to provide federal relief funds, they reallocate certain grant funding, like some title funding from title fund to federal relief money. The district have received about $25 million in federal relief money. So they reduced one
Okay,
line of funding
Right.
was receiving and increase another line.
so
of
maybe
funding.
next year, we will,
Hopefully, we'll
Okay.
wait and see.
But there's no explanation that's driven to us, but thank you for this man right here.
Well, thank you to all of you who've worked so diligently to bring us this grant. It will help a lot of students, and understanding the grant process, they can be quite cumbersome, so we appreciate all of your efforts across the board.
Thank you.
Thank you both so
Thank you.
much. Anything else for you? No, that's it. Awesome. So now we're going to move on to the, just before we move on to consent agenda, we have public comment on agenda items. No, this is just comment having to do with our consent agenda or anything in new business. Are there any public comments at this time? Seeing none, are there any online comments? Nope. Seeing none, we're going to move on to our consent agenda. Can I have a motion to accept the consent agenda?
motion.
Thank you, Ms. Healy.
No,
Can I
not
have?
to accept, oh, okay, can we discuss it, or?
Oh, just a motion
Okay,
first,
yeah, yeah,
second,
yeah.
and then we'll do the
Okay,
discussion.
okay.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Murphy. Any questions, comments, or concerns?
Yes, I just noticed the lunch fund checking, I'm going under the check register, the check amount and check numbers just weren't included, so if we can get that updated. And I am seeing under the federal B&B a transpar amount of $191,647.50. So I'm just wondering, what is that? Because our payment should be, I already see a payment of $17,422.50. I know we've been paying them for like 5 months. What is this huge amount if we're on a payment, a monthly invoice?
Sure, I can answer. So the district have certain deadlines it must meet, and one thing I just want to remind you about, transport was paid through the federal relief funds. So we have federal relief funds must be used by 9/30/2023 this school year, and some other federal relief fund must be used by 9/30/2024. So you don't get reimbursement unless it's an actual expense. You can budget for it, but unless it's actual expense, you won't get reimbursement. That's why we actually had to cut a check so we can get reimbursement from the state.
So but the contract said that we were doing monthly invoicing.
Correct, it's prepaid, but for the federal, in order to get reimbursement, 100% reimbursement, you have to spend the money by September 30th, 2023 of this school year, based on the grant that, funding that we use. And so it's prepaid.
So help me out, like, how do you handle this contractually? Like the contract said, a monthly invoice. Like I was, especially with our contract, now we've paid them, they're paid up. It's
Yeah.
August. and now we have the whole rest of the year.
Yeah, but based on the contract we currently have in place with them, we are obligated to pay them at least for the service through June 30th of 2024.
As of when? When are we supposed to pay them by?
Oh, well, they have to provide the services through June 30th, 2024, but the grant money has to be used by September 30th, 2023. So it's a prepay, a portion of it.
Are there any other questions?
So in but like I said, contractually, it said it was a monthly invoice. So if there was going to be a change in a prepay, wouldn't we have to know about that?
So they do send an invoice, we get a credit for the portion that's prepay. So we just did that this month because we have to close the grant.
And so, but they're fully paid up, transpar is what you're saying?
Correct, is a prepay, correct. So it was paying them monthly until this month because we have to close the grants.
Okay.
Any other questions? No, seeing none, all in favor of accepting the consent agenda? And motion passes. Moving on to new business, we have letter A, approval of service agreement with Cullen and Danowski. This is for the preparation of our 2023 1099R forms at actually a very low price. Can I have a motion?
Motion.
Thank you, Ms. Murphy. Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Redmond. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, all in favor? And motion passes. Letter B, approval of memorandum of agreement with CSEA member. Can I have a motion?
Motion.
Thank you, Ms. Healy. Can I have a second? Second. Thank you, Mr. Scudder. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, all in favor? Motion passes. Letter C, approval of memorandum of agreement with RCFA for the Evening Academy. Can I have a motion?
Motion.
Thank you, Ms. Murphy. Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Redmond. Any questions, comments, or concerns? All in favor? And motion passes. Letter D, amendment to approval of funding reserves. Can I have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Thank you, Ms. Healy. Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Murphy. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, all in favor? And motion passes. Letter E, amendment to approval of positions. Can I have a motion? Motion. Thank you, Mr. Scudder. Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Healy. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, all in favor? And motion passes. Letter F, thank you, Ms. Murphy. Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Healy. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, all in favor? And motion passes. We have letter G, approval of facilities use form. Can I have a motion?
Motion.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Healy, and thank you, Ms. Redmond. Any questions, comments, or concerns?
No, it was just brought back up because we wanted to exempt the Class 1 from the stipulation that was included on that in the June 13th when they redid the form. So that's why we brought it back, to make sure that the Class 1 organizations will not be charged the fees that were listed under personnel fee schedule.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor? And motion passes. I'd like to make a motion to add letter H to the agenda, which will be adoption of board goals for 2023-2024. We have proposed goals here that I will read out. So for this year's Board of Education goals, we have number 1, with stakeholders, advocate on behalf of the board and Riverhead Central School District at the local and state level. Number 2, to provide first-year board trustees with mentorship, including information and training related to the business, finance, and advocacy functions of the school district. Number 3, oversee the implementation of the district's strategic plan, assess benchmarks, and address barriers to success, including fully implementing the continuum of services for all subgroups, provide ongoing professional development in the area of foundational literacy with a focus on structured, explicit, and multisensory methods, and identify the students who may benefit from this approach, provide opportunities for students to be involved in discussions and decisions pertaining to the health, safety, and culture of their community, ensure timely dissemination of information to students and parents, provide ample opportunity for the community to express its opinions and concerns, expand district mental health services and strengthen community partnerships that provide additional support for students and families, the MTSS plan, further support, enhance, and address facility needs across the district. Number 4, ensure that tax dollars are spent efficiently and effectively, and by setting tax levies that are sensitive to local economic realities. And finally, number 5, review and approve a reserve plan and a 5-year fiscal plan to ensure the long-term financial security of the district. Can I have a second to add this to the agenda?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Murphy. Do we have any questions, comments, or concerns about this, or any comments about the goals in general?
No, but just thanks. I mean, it was very collaborative, and everybody gave input. I mean, I think it was like 3 pages long, and then we, whittled it down, and we took our inspiration from that strategic plan, and, from what we heard from, our internal auditors, and we condensed it, and so thank you to everybody here. It was a pleasure working with everyone on this.
I just want to add that specifically the section in number 3 about providing opportunities for students to be involved in discussions and decisions pertaining to their community. I'm looking forward to working, with the rest of the board and with the superintendent and cabinet to build on that, hopefully to kind of build on that specific culture for years to come.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Any other comments? No, seeing none, all in favor? And motion passes. So it's now been added to the agenda. So now we will vote on letter H. Can I have a motion to adopt the board goals for 2023-2024?
Motion.
Thank you, Mr. Scudder. Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Redmond. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, all in favor? Motion passes. Opportunity for board members. I think we have a couple of committee reports for the audit committee.
I will start off with the August 30th. Okay, we met August 30th with Dr. Augustine Tornatore, Dr. Assay, myself, Colin Palmer, Erica Murphy, and John Mackey. The audit committee discussed the status of the ongoing audits, which include a cybersecurity NIST gap analysis, and scheduled a meeting with the internal auditors on September 7th, 2023. The auditors should follow up with the audit committee about the corrective action plan that is related to the 2021-22 single audit. The audit committee discussed recommending the tax manager at Cullen and Danowski to prepare the 1099-R forms for eligible retirees who have split dollar life insurances. The district is the owner of the split dollar life insurances, and we voted on that tonight. The audit committee discussed the status of the 2022-23 budgets. The district is projected to spend 99.9% of its general fund for 22-23 budget due to the district not budgeting for all of its health insurance. There was 16 to 23% health insurance increases from year to year. Special education was another $3 million, and other contract costs. The federal relief funds covered more than $4 million of staffing and other costs for the general fund. The district will have to address the significant increased costs of health insurance now and in the future. The board has to consider having budget workshops this school year. Rising healthcare costs have created some serious financial challenges for the district. The district will need professional help with resolving these healthcare financial challenges and to create an employee benefits special committee to study healthcare benefits per policy 2250, where it says we can create that special committee. The district is going to consider receiving additional employee benefits services from Seneca Consulting Group and get pricing information. An official from the State Education Department informed the district that the district will receive $1.4 million, not the $1.8 million the state budgeted to provide to the district for 2023-24. This is about the universal pre-kindergarten program and funding. The funding decrease is mainly due to decreasing enrollment of four-year-old children in half-day program and more children enrolled in full-day in the universal pre-K program compared to the prior year, 22-23, where we had 299 students. The operations of the universal pre-kindergarten are projected to cost up to $2.2 million in 2023-24, excluding potential transportation costs. The general fund budget is projected to cover any operating costs the grants for the universal pre-kindergarten program cannot cover, but no more than $400,000 for this school year. The district will need to reorganize the operations of the universal pre-kindergarten to control large cost increases because the grants for the universal pre-kindergarten program are not covering 100% of the operating costs for staffing and tuition. The board will have to consider making transportation arrangements for all students in the universal pre-kindergarten program or not offer transportation to any student in the universal pre-kindergarten program. Education law, section 3635G outlines that school districts are not required to transport pre-kindergarten students. She's going to take the next step.
Continuing on in the universal pre-K, the district was informed by the state officials from New York State Education Department that if the district is transporting pre-kindergarten students to its school buildings, then the district must also transport those students who are in daycare centers in its universal pre-kindergarten program. This is a compliance issue the Board of Education must resolve because only pre-kindergarten students in the school buildings are being offered transportation. We know the policy of the majority surrounding school districts does not offer transportation to pre-kindergarten students. This matter must be discussed as we prepare for the 24-25 school year. It is important to note that the lottery system of Head Start is independent from the district's lottery system. As a result, the district has to wait until late summer or fall to get the Head Start enrollment information. After the data is collected, the audit committee has to share enrollment and cost information with the board for the universal pre-kindergarten program. Next, we discuss the TAN and BAN. The district is scheduled to get 28 million TAN and a 2 million BAN in September. Business office roles and duties. The audit committee discussed the separation of duties that is needed in the business office and the workload of the treasurer, payroll supervisor, the principal office clerk and employee benefits, purchasing agent, and accounts payable clerk. The district will have to start planning for retirements and training backup staff for the business office. The audit committee recognized that the district must have a backup trained staff for the payroll supervisor. The district will work with CSEA to have a backup trained staff for the payroll supervisor. The NISR general liability coverage for PTAs, PTOs, and boosters. NISR general liability coverage does not extend to PTAs, PTOs, and boosters if the district does not add these organizations to its general liability insurance. The district will consider adding PTAs, PTOs, and boosters to its NISR general liability coverage depending on the cost when it is confirmed in September or October. BOCES service contracts. The initial BOCES service contract added service that are not part of the initial contract, and the final contract for BOCES will be shared with the board. Paperless district. The district is going paperless in the administrative functions wherever possible district-wide. The district is spending more than $1 printing some documents. The district will provide everyone with online access to the board documents and the board meetings, which will include a QR code and free wireless at board meetings.
Thank you, Ms. Healy and Ms. Murphy. I also have one other audit committee report. We met again on September 7th. In attendance were the committee members, Dr. Tortori, Dr. Asay, Ms. Healy, Ms. Murphy, Mr. John Mackey, and myself, as well as Peter Lilios and Dimitris Bandeleskas from Naroki Smith. This was specifically in relation to our 2022-2023 internal audit. So the committee discussed and reviewed the 22-23 internal audit reports with the internal auditors from Naroki Smith. The committee selected to audit revenue for the 23-24 internal audit, which will include bank reconciliations, cash receipts, revenue and accounts receivable for health insurance, tuition, and other areas. The committee also recommended to have an employee benefits special committee to study health care benefits, which will include costs. The district will request a quote from the staff from Booksmart Accounting to help the district gather data for employee benefits and health insurance billing. And that was it for that particular meeting. Do we have any general board remarks?
No, I think we just have to start getting work on the budget workshops as well as that special committee so that we, it's already, gosh, almost end of September. It goes so fast, so we'll just get going on that.
Yeah. So let's plan on the next meeting being able to, fully,
Timeline that out.
start out and try to plan out our budget. I think we can do the work with the audit committee so that we can bring some information to, we won't have another meeting until October.
Right.
So we can have that set up as well as getting that special committee set up
Right,
as
right.
well.
Which, by designating a special committee versus a study committee, special committee, then this way we can have, besides board members, we can be reaching out, like I said, between the business office, the other, whoever else that needs to be involved in this discussion, we brought up with Dr. Say. By the way, thanks for writing up those nice lengthy minutes and especially providing as much information as possible for the community. And I just want to say, beginning of the new school year, to our students, the staff, all our teachers, everybody, it's another school year, and I know we had some little, especially glitches with the transportation, but we're all working to get all of that resolved, and that we just have a good school year. And it gets cooler.
Yes.
Any other comments from board members?
I know that they left, but I would just like to thank the students who came here tonight. They represent the very best of what Riverhead has to offer, and there are a lot of them in Riverhead. So thank you for coming tonight, and thank you to everyone who's here, whose students are working hard to achieve great things this year.
Any other comments? I'm just going to add, wishing everyone the best for the continued school year. Now, we're only a week in, but sometimes that feels like a month. And also, I just want to comment on the reason that we are meeting in the cafeteria this evening instead of the auditorium is the Riverhead Faculty Community Theater is doing their youth production next week. And they were rehearsing before. I got a chance to quickly walk in and hear the kids singing. There's a lot of Riverhead students and some students from outside districts who are participating in it. Next weekend they're doing Matilda, the musical, and it's an organization that helps to fund scholarships for graduating seniors, so it's a good way to not only support younger students, but support our seniors as well. We're going to move on to opportunity for the RCFA.
Good evening, Gregory Wallace, RCFA. So, Dr. Tornatore, I have a question. Is there any plan to mitigate the effects of extreme heat on the instructional environment? The extreme heat problems we're having are not going away. I read something put out by NICET that produce can't sit in 90-degree heat for more than an hour, and especially on the north, upstairs in Pulaski, upstairs in the middle school, with the heat index, you combine the temperature and humidity, it's just very oppressive for our students and our teachers.
So, Mr. Wallace, as you know, we've had conversations regarding this, and it is something that we have been looking into because we do understand the concerns. We want to make sure that our students and our staff are safe and are able to have an educational environment that is sound. I would like Mr. Galena to also share out basically what he has been doing in the process to try to solve this problem for you. So I would like for him to be able to come up and respond as well.
Thanks, Mr. Wallace. So previously, Dr. Sayan and I had entertained some companies to look into opportunities to improve the facilities through an EPC, which has recently been stalled. And in that EPC, we had discussed ways that we could bring cooling and realize savings through that avenue. And we hope to revisit that really soon. What I've done personally is I petitioned our HVAC company, CIS, Commercial Instrumentation Services. I had them in here 2 weeks ago. As many of you who work in high school know, we had a catastrophic failure of our air conditioning systems in the high school, and it took us a month to bring everything back online. It was absolutely horrible for our staff to work, and probably what was the hottest week of the summer. Kudos to Principal O'Hara and everybody for bearing through that. It was devastating to me because my hands were kind of tied. I did everything that I possibly could. We actually got very creative. The parts for the air conditioning system were supposed to come from Wisconsin, and the company that made the unit wasn't responding to us. So we actually had parts fabricated locally, and were able to turn it around in 2 weeks and get it running literally 2 weeks before the school year began. So I was appreciative of that. So I spoke to the owner of the company, and we explored different areas in the high school, the art wing, looked into the ROTC and tech rooms, a couple of other areas, and I spoke to him yesterday to ask where he was with those proposals. And again, you know, anything can be fixed with money, but we have to see how much money that is that we need to allocate for that. So he said he's not even worked on the proposal because August was one of his busiest months he's ever seen due to the extreme heat, and he said he would absolutely get back to me within the next week or so. Once I have numbers, I'll talk to Dr. Say. We'll sit down and discuss what we can do going forward. We have put individual units in rooms that required medical, due to power constraints in the high school, and I'm focusing on high school because right now that's the busiest school, obviously, during the summer months, and they were hit the hardest. But, excuse me. Oh, I just lost my track of thought there. Sorry about that. Okay, yes, so wherever we can, we try and put in window-mounted units to cool these classrooms one at a time, but we're getting to a point where we're stressing the power grid in the building so much that we just have no place to pull from. Recently, we had upgraded the service in the MDF closet for IT, and we actually put a sub-panel in there that brought another needed amps in order to supply the building, and then the next week they put in a firewall and they took all of that power away. So we're very limited in our ability to expand our electrical component to run these machines. And so through the research with CIS, if we can get split systems in these wings and eliminate some of these 220 single unit air conditioners, we can actually save money because it costs less to run the split systems, and we could free up breaker space, which would allow us to run other components such as the BenQ boards and whatever. Unfortunately, that's going to take an investment. That's going to take, you know, a couple of $1,000s in order to implement that. So once I get that initial quote from CIS, again, Dr. Asay and I will sit down and talk, and we'll see what our options are going forward. Any questions? Thank you.
Certainly, Mr. Wallace, this has been an ongoing concern. I know we've had multiple conversations about it, and Mr. Galena has really been working very hard to try to come up with a solution. But again, part of the problem is that we have these aging buildings where there's only so much power available. So We are looking into some of these long-term solutions that could work, where we would have to make really tremendous amount of investments in the physical plants of each building to be able to make these changes. But it is something that unfortunately does take time as well.
I can understand that it takes time, but it's a significant issue for our students and our members. You know, some of these rooms are just stifling, especially on the second floor of Pulaski, second floor of the middle school, corner of the high school. It's oppressive, and it's becoming a problem.
And I just want to share with you that I agree with you, because as I have been in the buildings, in every building all last week, and I've also experienced that when I do walk up into those floors, it is quite warm. And so, you know, if we could have an immediate solution, we would love to have that. Unfortunately, it is a solution that is going to take further time.
Okay. We as an organization understand that there are often logistical issues with transportation the first few days of school. And there needs to be flexibility and understanding of all parties as the school starts, so these issues can be worked out. But when you compound with the later dismissal times, the delays the first days of school were problematic not only for our students, but for our faculty members. Some of our faculty members were significantly impacted. A number of our members who were held well past their scheduled time to leave ended up having to secure someone else to pick up their children from childcare, because the daycare closes, and if you don't pick up your child in time, they call the police. So we had teachers scrambling to find individuals that could pick up their children from childcare. We also had a number of teachers who were late to their graduate level classes, which are required for state certification. So, you know, we understand the difficulties. We know the tremendous amount of work that goes into it by the Director of Transportation and the dedication of the transportation officials. But this week was problematic for our members. Not, you know, we understand that if, you know, administration can compel us to stay if it's a safety issue, and it is a safety issue if the students have to be supervised. But when teachers are prevented from picking up their children from daycare or late to a graduate class that's required for state certification, that's a problem. So I just wanted to put that on record, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Wallace. Opportunity for RAA. Do you have any comment from Rob? No? So we have opportunity for public. Do we have any public comments?
Hi, this is Bob Brown from Riverside. There was an altercation at the school, Pulaski Street School, at the football game on Saturday. Some young kids were abused physically and verbally, and I got a call from one of the parents tonight that couldn't be here because of work conditions. But I've lived in Riverhead all my life, and I never dreamed that my great-grandchildren would be subjected to the N-word in 2023. These are kids 5 and 6 years old, pushed down in the sand, and it was done by 14-year-olds. I heard the kids were from the middle school, and I am blessed in the fact that I was not there, because I know there would have been a different outcome to this situation. And I want to know what is the Riverhead School District going to do about this type of thing. I mean, this is 2023, and this is our town. I love this. You know, I come to these school board meetings. I'm in different programs with the school, and I can't imagine how this can be tolerated. And it's not a kid problem, it's a parent problem. Those kids that were calling the N-word to my great-grandchildren got that from someplace, and it didn't come from the street, it came from the home.
If you don't mind, because I was there, and and I was there with, I guess maybe it was your daughter, but it was heard by a lot of people up in the stands, and the community was appalled, and of course the police showed up. I do know that Mr. O'Hara and Mr. Gassar were there, I had, was with the families and wanted to make sure that they were heard, and supposedly they took the names of those middle school students, and from what I heard, that was going to be addressed even in the school, and they weren't going to be allowed back at the game. So that's what I kind of heard. I don't know whether the superintendent had followed up, but we were all appalled by that, and we stand with your family. Everybody heard it, and it was not acceptable. And you're absolutely right. And we just said we didn't think those were from our students, but we found out that they were middle school students because nobody really recognized them. But you're absolutely right, and we were all upset, and upset for your family.
I will be upset if this is all these kids get,
No,
just a
right.
little slap on the wrist. It's got to stop, and it's got to be something firm that's supported by the whole school board and the administration. If the parents have to pay, the parents have to pay. I'm 83 years old. I don't need to take this crap. I grew up in Acapulco with this stuff. I was the N-word every day in school. And I'm tired of it. The thing of it is, I love people. I love people. I deal with people all the time. And I still cannot understand how I have come up in this environment and not hate somebody. There's nobody these kids, I don't hurt, I don't hate. These kids need correction, they need education.
Mr. Brown, if I could share with you, I was at the game Saturday as well, and then this unfortunately transpired. We did find out that it is one middle school student, one high school student, and the third member who was involved was not a student of the district. So we are working, the middle school principal and the high school principal have been actively investigating this. We do take it very seriously. The police were called. There is a police report as well. I did speak to one of the family members involved. We had a very lengthy conversation about what we are doing because this is not going to be tolerated. We certainly understand this is a diverse community, and this community, what makes Riverhead so beautiful is the diversity. So from the bottom of my heart, I'm sorry that your family had to go through this. It is completely unacceptable. And believe me when I share with you that there will be severe consequences.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Any other comments from the public? Oh, we have one person approaching, and then you'll... Pardon?
Can I respond to Mr. Brown?
So we have one woman, yeah. Yeah, yeah, if you don't mind. Yeah, absolutely.
Hi, my name is Eva Roberts. I know Mr. Brown, although you might not recognize me right now. So I'm just thinking, I'm not sure what might go through your mind, Mr. Brown, about a response. Some things come to my mind. One would be a school gathering where this behavior is denounced, some public denouncement of it, not just, oh, it happened on Saturday, like a sort of a rising up and support. I'm not sure what your, this is your great-grandchildren or your grandchildren. So I feel myself, sometimes I would feel, like some kind of public showing of support and opposition to that. So that's an idea. I don't know if that works for you. And another thought comes to me is something along the lines of restorative justice, where, above me on anything is sitting down and, like being face-to-face, like in the school, bringing some people in, where, so it's not just, oh, you can't come to school, but like really addressing the parents directly, face-to-face, and maybe the kids. Those are just some ideas. If you have more specific thoughts, I would love to hear them. Thank you.
If I may add, we did speak within our board goals that it is really important to the Board of Ed and to the district that children come to school in a welcoming and inclusive environment. And that type of behavior, that type of language is not acceptable. But as you've mentioned, I'm sorry, I don't know your name, but that obviously these students need to be dealt with in a disciplinary situation, but also teachable moments. And we welcome more opportunity for community members to work with the district, as well as bringing students in. Students need to become owners of their school community. And I think that we welcome more conversations about how we include students in the conversation and how we create community where that's not tolerated. And that even, and as adults, when we're hearing it, that we're saying, hey, that's not acceptable language, and we're addressing it expeditiously. So I appreciate you, Mr. Brown, coming to the board with this issue, because you're right, in 2023, we shouldn't still be having these discussions. And thank you for your comments about ways that we can address it beyond the discipline issue, because eventually these students leave our doors, and what kind of world do they leave behind? So, thank you.
So besides what was said to the the 5-year-old, it was also the disrespect and the language that was said to the mother of the 5-year-old. So you had these middle school speaking to an adult in a very derogatory and disturbing way, which was heard by all of us in the stands. And we stand behind you, and we all stood behind the parents with that, because it was appalling.
I just want to say, I fully support, increased programming at the school. It's not just as you're well aware, it's not just a school problem. It's not just a Riverhead problem. It is an American problem still. But at least in our community, we can do things to try to bend towards justice. To paraphrase Dr. King. I know that there's been some comments in our community about, the Riverhead town has an anti-bias task force. There's been some comments about, how, the task force doesn't necessarily represent the racial makeup of our town. Our district does have a connection to the task force. Ms. Jakowski is our liaison to it. I think that it's not only having that task force be more racially diverse, but also age diverse and racially diverse. I think that we need to be working more as a community with the school district and the town to start these conversations as well, because they're not just, in the hallways of a school. I mean, a high school football game is not just a school activity, that's a community activity. Racism bleeds out into everything. And if we can try to build on fighting that in any way we can, obviously you don't want to say, oh, a little bit of progress is, what you need. You need major movements. But I think that, as Healy had mentioned in the board goals that we adopted tonight, we are tasking ourselves to do this. And I would hope that the community holds us to task. With that. Yeah, you can speak again if you'd like.
This is Eva Roberts again, and I just have another suggestion after hearing the discussion, is to maybe call for a resolution with a time frame about a response, like for, you know, and probably like right away, like these things. That's what I'm suggesting is, so if someone from the board could put forth a resolution that in order to address this, people will gather and they'll come up with a proposal, and, you know, and maybe it can be expedited since it's not supposed to wait till like next month or the month after. That's my suggestion is, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Roberts. I'm not entirely certain if that's the kind of, I don't know, you think you might know about, you know, would that be a kind of a thing to have a resolution?
Well, I think, Ms. Roberts, are you talking about having a committee formed to address, to come up with possible solutions?
Can the board say, we're going to come up with a, you know, there's some accountability. Right now, it's just sort of delete. You know, is there,
Isn't that,
can you say, you know, something with steps and date and time?
I think Virginia's going to.
I know that when I was there, it was, first of all, to make sure that we felt like the parents were being heard, that they were being, that their side was being heard too, because what was said, and that there was people there saying, we all heard that. And then number two, that there was going to be something, first of all, we needed to know who these, we didn't know that they were our students, you know, you had to identify all that, but once they found that out, that was going to get referred back to the school, and something was going to be done disciplinary-wise. I also was under the impression that the mom did end up talking to the other mom also, that had to get on the phone or so forth, so that, you know, they took care of that. I don't know if any charges. I don't know the rest of the story, but I mean, I think that's what we're looking for, is that there's some accountability on the students and their behavior.
I don't know what your plans are, but I do know that there is no quick fix to the situation. It's going to take time. And when events like this happen, if there is something done publicly to address it, that will discourage somebody else from doing it down the road.
Right.
And it's not a quick fix. I know that all of us here are preaching to the choir. You know, when you have these committees, and the people that come are not the people that we need to talk to. You know, when you're in company and hear somebody say something derogatory, tell them about it. Don't have to discourage it.
Well, also, I didn't go to the football game, I'm sorry, but before the football game, you have the announcements. Is there some policy we can put in place where at the beginning of the game that the person in the announcing booth reiterates what the rules are for attending our events, that language of that nature will not be tolerated? Is that something that we can?
So I would like to, because there's many different things were brought up that I'd like to discuss. So first of all, we do have our code of conduct, which students have to abide by, and then there are consequences if they do not abide by that. Secondly, we do have that when anybody comes to visit the school district, we have rules and regulations. They must abide by those rules and regulations, and if they don't, then they will be asked to leave. We've had situations where we've had to remove a community member or a parent from an event. I also would like to share, I did meet, because I meet with Pastor Coverdale with the First Baptist Church. I met with him again today. We are looking to expand in working with the church so that we can help to mitigate some of this. Additionally, we have our restorative practices, which we want students to get to a point where they need to understand their behavior and why it's wrong, not just have the consequence. So we have that as well. Additionally, whenever students are suspended and it goes to a superintendent's hearing, I like to have a stipulation of agreement where we work with the parents or guardians so that the student is receiving counseling services and support as we try to not only deal with the issue of the behavior and the consequence of the behavior, but so that we get to a place that this will not happen again. So we are doing that, and as well, I also work with the Butterfly Effect Project. So we work consistently with our butterflies and now with our dragonflies, who are the young men who are a part of the program as well. So we do have things in place. It's just that, unfortunately, from time to time, somebody is going to say or do something that is really, really, in my opinion, truly ignorant. And so what we have to do is to continue to have conversations, to continue to work with the stakeholders in the community to ensure that we get to a place where we won't have this conversation. And I agree with you, Mr. Brown, this is unfortunately a very, very complex, and we need to have long-term solutions. There's no easy fix, because unfortunately, when some children, like you shared, they hear things at home, and then they say things. It's completely wrong, and it's inexcusable for what they're doing, but we are continuously working to get to a better place to support all of our students. That's what we have in our DEI plan. We are here to ensure that all our students are represented and they're successful.
Before you go up, Ms. Roberts, we just have some other people who would like to comment first, so just want to make sure that we get other comments first, and then you're free to, anyone is free to come back up again.
Hello, my name is Heather McHugh. I have students at Riley Elementary. I heard what you said earlier about transportation. However, we have been here before, over and over again. Transportation has been a mess since August for this year alone. Letters went out with wrong bus times. You had students being told they were being picked up for elementary school at 7:53 in the morning. Clearly that was an error. Why'd the letters go out if we've paid a company over $200,000? Why'd those letters go out completely wrong? Why were routes made that were literally impossible to do? Why were those sent out to students? Then we were told to look at an app. First of all, you're assuming everybody has access to an app in the district. You're assuming everybody in the district has a smartphone to get that app, to look at on a daily basis to see what the updates are. We are a Title I school district. That is a big assumption to have. Transportation is a big deal in our district. We are a very large district. We understand that. But we currently have bus drivers, as of today, dropping off kindergarten students without parents at bus stops. The parent didn't even know the child was there. This morning, a new bus showed up for a new route at a different time. No communication was given to those parents saying that the bus had changed. So the parent didn't almost miss the bus. You had this company come in and say they were going to optimize these routes. They were going to assist the director in finding the way to do this the best way. We haven't seen it. Parents took it on the chin when all of a sudden times were changed for elementary school students without notice to the parents and without input of those stakeholders in those decisions. And again, we're told just be patient. Wait 4 to 6 weeks, and it'll even out. And then we'll make adjustments, and wait another 4 to 6 weeks. 12 weeks total, a third of the school year, so we can get transportation fixed. You had all summer. You had since the report was done last spring to figure this out. We've also been told it's improved, especially the afternoon. However, if you look at the elementary school buses in the afternoon, they're half empty. It's a false sense that the buses have actually improved. Once those parents can no longer pick up their kids, which has added to complete chaos in the afternoon at those elementary schools for pickup, once those students are back on that bus, you're going to have elementary schools, again, students getting back to their homes at 4:45, 5 o'clock. My students alone, my kids, get at 4:30. There's still kids on the bus. Why are elementary school students on a bus for over an hour after school dismissed? It is not acceptable at all. Have you considered outsourcing parochial schools and the other private schools, outsourcing that busing? That would alleviate the pressure on transportation. They'd have more buses and bus drivers to go to the elementary schools, to do the after-school activities. Also, parents have asked over and over again, why do we not have a GPS system on the buses so we know where our kids are? The assumption is a parent can stand outside for half an hour to 45 minutes waiting for the bus to show up. Parents that can afford it in the district have sewn air tags into their children's backpacks so they know when their kid has left the school and when they'll be arriving. That's really sad that you have to depend on an air tag to know where your child is. I'm also publicly requesting, I've done it through email now twice, to get the times and the lengths of all these bus trips. You had Transpar do that study, and I pointed out there's an inequity between the elementary schools of how long elementary students are on those buses. I'd like to see the data for the new routes. How long are elementary school students across, whether it be Roanoke, Riley, Phillips, it doesn't matter. How long are those bus routes? What is the expected time these students are supposed to be? And is it even across all 4 elementary schools? Because for the last 3 years, it hasn't been. And as having students at the school where students are regularly on the bus for over an hour, it's just plain old unfair to that group of people and those students to be on the bus longer than other elementary school students.
Thank you, Ms. McHugh. Do we have any other comments?
I just wanted to add to her situation. So this had just changed this morning for my son who attends Riley. We were sent a letter over the summer, bus 193 at 8:30 in the morning. Okay. Well, bus 192 was showing up for the last 3 or 4 days. Then this morning, some other bus showed up, bus 152. She says, oh, this is going to be the new time, 8:44. Well, you're lucky that we were standing out there for 25 minutes waiting for you because there was no communication of that change. There's an app, there's email, there's many ways that there could be communication. You're going to tell me my son's bus is 25 to 35 minutes late, but you can't tell me that there's been a change. The communication is inconsistent. That's the first thing. And if it's happening to us, it's probably happening to other students. The second thing, which had me in tears, quite frankly, because if it was my child, I was not waiting 3 hours for that Pulaski Street student to be found, who was missing for 3 hours. Parent wrote on social media. 35 minutes, you tell me my son's bus is late. At 40 minutes, I'm calling the police. My son's missing. I was lucky enough that we had an extra cell phone laying around, and I gave it to my son to track him so I know where he is. It's not acceptable. There's no reason why private and charter schools who pay for tuition should be using our resources for busing. Yes, they need an education. Absolutely, 100%, but you're paying for it, and you're using our resources for public schools. I'm confused why that is. Just maybe some things, and it's not you directly, I understand that. If it's happening to us as one parent, or multiple parents are not speaking up, or there's parents that are and don't know about these meetings or don't know how to get these issues across, I think these things really, with transportation, really need to be addressed. Toot sweet, not in 4 to 6 weeks, or another 4 to 6 weeks after that. It's not acceptable when you're paying, as you said, over $200,000 to this company. These are, and one of our other parents, her 4-year-old was made to sit in the back with no supervision and then got off the, and if she wasn't with her older brothers, did not make sure that she was on the bus, she probably would have been on some other bus, like that Pulaski Street student. She's 4 years old. She probably doesn't know her left from her right, and I'm not saying that in a negative way, but again, she's 4. We're not talking about a 5th and 6th grade student who can know, all right, let me figure out direction and get home. She's 4. If it's happening to her, it's probably happening to other children. These issues need to be addressed with Transbar immediately. Thank you.
I can tell you, my kids are on your kids' bus. So I've dealt with those issues personally. My kids are on bus 192, and then my husband sat at the bus stop this morning. So we hear you. We're working from all angles to try to get this corrected.
Any other comments?
Hello, my name is Matthew Granger. I also have a daughter in Riley Avenue School. Also very, very disappointed, the first word that comes to mind. I take off for school, for work, to watch my daughter get on the bus, wish her good luck, and then I sit around and wait for the disappointment, basically, from the busing department. I spoke to Mr. Lett, told me a couple issues they were having, this and that. I also called the Riley school, spoke to the principal, assistant principal, but like the young lady said, for the amount of money that you guys spent, get a refund or something. It's disappointing, not good at public speaking. But if these kids are late arrivals or something in school, figure it out at 9:30 before snack time. Not at 3:30, 4 o'clock, saying, hey, we picked up 6 at your stop, now we have 12 in total. Where'd they come from? I'm not denying them rides home, but like the DMV office, they close 4:30. They don't care if Jesus is out there. You guys got to move forward. Whoever's on the bus, ship them home. I sat at the bus stop with my wife for over an hour, and I live 5 minutes away from Riley. I could have walked there, got my kid, walked back. Just unacceptable. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Granger. Are there any other comments from the public?
Just going back to the situation which Mr. Brown brought up. In my perspective, it would be not just these processes, but like a public announcement and denouncement of what was said, which apparently was heard by many people. It was an injury to many, whatever their color of their skin or what, to have to listen to this. So that's what I see, is not just it's going through this process and these students, but a public response to whatever the next game is, or over the loudspeaker, something like many of us heard these derogatory whatever comments, and we stand opposed to that. This will not be tolerated. Something as simple, at least, as that, some public statement. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Roberts. Lisa, are there any online comments?
Yes, I have 2. The first one is from Jennifer Sperber from Riverhead. Why is universal pre-K not available to all students who meet the requirements? There should be enough room for all students who are eligible. All of these children will go to kindergarten, so there will be enough room. So will there be enough room for them? I am not pleased with being put on a waiting list after meeting all of the requirements. The next comment is from Tabitha Evans, from Calverton. When will the school district be returning to traditional book learning? I am not a fan of my kids, 3 of them, having so much screen time. Additionally, and just as important, since all their work is online, if a student has after-school activities off campus, such as sports, they are unable to do any work at all. For example, each of my boys is on cross-country, winter track, and spring track. They can sit for hours waiting for their event to begin, yet they cannot get any schoolwork done sitting on a bus or a field or on bleachers because they need a Wi-Fi signal. If they had books, this wouldn't be a non-issue. Kids are coming home from sporting events and doing homework at late hours when they should be getting their sleep so they can sit awake and learn effectively. Thank you for your serious consideration in this very important matter.
Thank you, Lisa. Are there any final comments from the public? Seeing none, I'd like to make a motion to recess back into executive session to discuss the employment of a particular person or corporation. Can I have a motion?
Motion.
Thank you, Ms. Murphy. Can I have a second? Thank you, Mr. Scudder. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, all in favor? And motion passes. We'll be finishing from executive session. But thank you all for attending the meeting, and we'll see you next month.
Please help support the Riverhead Central School District YouTube channel by subscribing. If you are not already subscribed to this channel, please be sure to push that subscribe button and click the bell to receive notifications. Thank you.